Hey, you're listening to Don't Lie to Your Life Coach podcast with Kim Arrington. I'm Kim Arrington. I'm a life coach, a weight loss coach, an author, and a badass passionate about helping you connect back to your most authentic self. Join me here each week so I can coach you on how to think all those juicy thoughts that get you feeling your absolute best and taking some big ass action. Coaching has changed my life, and it can change your life too. I'm here to give you real life solutions to create a life you'll love. Because the truth is, boo, you ain't just got problems, you got options. Hey, hello. Hey, y'all. This episode is right on time. It's right on time, you all. Let me sit. I always sit cross-legged when I'm doing this. I actually sit cross-legged most of the time. This podcast is all about, can you tolerate peace? This is something I revisit all the time. If you had one thing, don't lie to your life coach thing. I was about to say, do lie to your life coach. No. Don't lie to your life coach thing. It would be to revisit if you can tolerate peace. And sometimes peace comes dressed up as your brain not getting all those dopamine hits. And your brain is like, oh, I feel bored. Nope, that's peace. That's peace. That's peace. Peace does have its own dopamine, but sometimes you got to hang around with it until your brain can let off the gas enough to not be flooded with all that dopamine. Dopamine is like the desire emotion, and anything that hits, it just lights up your brain with electricity. And it's really not even the desire, it's the desire of the desire. So yes. Can you tolerate peace? I'm going to tell you guys a story. Story time, kids. So my cousin sister, y'all know what a cousin sister is? It's the country equivalent of a cousin, but she was more like a sister. My cousin sister and her husband own a beautiful house right on the county line of where I live. And it's in the woods, rural, beautiful, very picturesque house, beautiful porch. It sounds like I need to go back. They got a great dog. I mean, it's great. It backs up to a lake, not a lake, God, Kim, a pond, man-made pond. The person who was there before them dug the pond. They actually have to maintain the pond. It's a whole thing, right? And it has a pier that goes off into the pond, and even you could get into the water. Y'all, I can't do pond water. I'm sorry. You can do lake and pond water. I can, yeah. So anyway, what year was it? Let's just say 2021. I would go there sometimes on Fridays and work, and just beautiful, picturesque. Sometimes I'd let myself in. This one particular day, no one was there. It was just me. And I was taking a break. I'd go from sitting in their beautiful front room to sit on the porch. And I took a break and I walked out on the pier. And when I came to turn back around, I could see a snake, really nice size, long snake. I probably walked over the snake and didn't even realize it when I went to the pier. And it was in this little slat. So if you imagine a pier, and there are these little wood slats, but there's a little bit of room in between it, and the snake is in there. And I was like, holy shit burgers. How the hell, I had a choice. I could get into the water I don't get into, but the problem is it has a pool ladder on the pier, but the only pool ladder is at the end of the pier. So if I got into the water with my phone, fully clothed, I guess I could have swam where it was low enough to climb out and go through some tickland bushes and all this and that, because it's on a slope. I won't go do that. I'm way too country. I understand ticks too. I won't go do that. So my only choice was to go back the way that snake was. So there was a plastic red Adirondack chair, 2 of them on the pier. And I was like, I'm gonna throw this chair so this snake can go back in this water and it can get the hell up out of Dodge so I can get the hell up out of Dodge. So I threw the chair. The snake moved some. It didn't come towards me. I didn't even, you know what? This is the grace of God. I didn't even consider the snake coming towards me. I was so convinced that snake was gonna go in the water. So then I had to throw the chair. I had to go get the chair and throw it again. For some reason, I feel like there was only 1 on there. It could have been the second one, but I feel like I'm seeing a scene where it was 1. Had to get the chair, throw it again. The snake went in the water. So why am I telling you this? All right. I want you to think about that snake that kind of showed up out of nowhere. It didn't. It actually lives there. It didn't come out of nowhere. That snake, sorry, snake PR people, but I'm just going to tell you this. The snake represents, the lack of peace. You didn't even know it sometimes when you were in the lack of peace. Like I didn't know when I stepped over that snake, it was there. You didn't even know you were in the lack of peace. You had to do something. Throw an Adirondack chair didn't get you the desired effect. Your peace came back a little bit. That snake squiggled a little bit more closer to the water. You had to get that chair again, throw it again. The snake goes in the water. That's the equivalent of you doing what you got to do to get your peace back. And then I walked right across. Of course, I was shaking because I had reactions. I had feelings. You have feelings when you're going after peace. And I was able to walk back in the house, continue to get more work done. At some point, I got so engrossed in my work, I didn't even quite remember what it was like to have the snake situation or the lack of peace. That's what I want you to think about is, can you tolerate peace? You're probably going to have to do some things, a couple of things, and they might not feel good, but it's you backed against the water or you going direct towards the snake without doing anything, the lack of peace without doing anything. But at some point, you're in that peace so much, you just resume your normal life and you can't even go back and remember. You can't even remember your life before without that peace. How do we get there? How do we get there? Sorry, MrSnake.com. By the way, everybody thinks, where I come from, everybody thinks the snake is a water moccasin or a copperhead. It was a great northern water snake. It's always in the head shape. This snake had the typical like round head shape. And yeah, totally harmless, more scared of me than I was scared of it. Okay. I want you to think about peace not as a noun or even a destination. I want you to think about peace as a verb, okay? I come in peace are magic words to live by for yourself, okay? So what do I have to do to get a little peace? And I want you, because I know a lot of my listeners are like me. They are reformed good girls, reformed people pleasers, reformed codependents, or reforming, who are trying to gain back the feeling of being attached to themselves, their lives, their loved ones in healthy ways, whereas they don't overgive. I'll put in the podcast, Overgiving Makes You Mad as Hell, okay? And I have a podcast on codependency. I'll link that too. I want you to think about the little actions to take to reignite your peace. I don't want you to think about you not ever having peace, because it's not true. So I want you to think about that, little actions. And I'll give you an example. So I had a meditation practice. So I started looking at meditation years ago, and I started with 1 minute meditations and got up to 3 minute meditations. That was really effective. Then I got to the point where I was doing 10 minute meditations with the Calm app. And then I got up to 20 minute meditations. Now, it just so happens when I ask a question, the universe always returns an answer to me. And I asked this question. I was having a really hard time giddy up on this weight loss course project. By the way, it'll be out in the summer of 2023. So if you're listening to me currently, I mean, it's mere weeks away. And if you are listening to me after some time, if you go to kimarrington.com/weight loss, you can sign up to learn more about it. Okay. So now, and if you're listening to me later, I had to give up meditation because I was minding my business. I was on Instagram and there was someone who put up a post that said, meditation can put you in a frozen response. So if you think a freeze response, if you think about fight, flight, fawn, freeze. And a freeze response is a do nothing. I can't move forward. And that's exactly what was happening. I was meditating, I was journaling, I was meditating, I was getting up and walking every morning, I was working out, I was doing all these things. Sometimes journaling multiple times a day, reading a book, and it was a little bit too much. And I was like, what can I give up? Like the walk is meditative, even working out is meditative. I was like, I'm going to give up meditation. Instantly, I gave that up and I started moving forward with the project. Was it a placebo effect? Meaning like, because I thought it was that, did it happen? Who cares? Who cares? I did less and I gained more. So that's what I want you to think about with peace. Sometimes we think we have to do these huge, like rebuild, redos of our, a redo of our life. But the truth is, little moments of peace exist all throughout our day. Sometimes we just have to recognize to grab hold of those. And sometimes we have to realize we're doing way too much. And that's part of what the self-development industry, I'll link that podcast, What I Hate About the Self-Development Industry. Sometimes it wants to fire you up so much to do so many things, when peace to me exists in the little moments, the little actions. So when I say peace is a verb, it ain't a big verb. It's a smaller verb. It's a noticing of where there's peace in your life already. That's a huge one. Let me say that again so you hear it. It's noticing where peace already lives in your life, because it lives in everyone's life. I don't care. I was walking, I don't even know where I was walking the other day, and I looked over and I saw the man and the mailman have an interaction, and it was laughter. That is a moment of peace. The man stopped what he was doing. He was doing something to his car. The mailman stopped long enough. They shared a moment of peace. Peace is everywhere. You just got to look for it. Okay. So that's number one. That ain't even the number one I had. So let's talk about it. And there's just a movement, especially among women and people who identify as women, as soft life. And everybody has a feeling about soft life. But if I were to define soft life, it would be realizing everything doesn't have to be hard. There's ease, there's peace, there's resolution, there's repair, there's rehabilitation. Let me see if there's any more words in there. There's like an ability to decide to do less to gain more. That to me is what soft life is. Like, I'm receiving, I'm not just always doing the giving. I'm listening, I'm not always doing the talking. I'm allowing for people to do for me. I'm not always there doing for all the people. Like, I'm noticing what I have. I'm listening to the tone of my voice. I'm using what I have. I'm sinking in my feminine energies in ways that I like, and not always running in with my sword raised, ready for a fight. I mean, I can bring that, but it's a recognition, an intentional recognition of slowing things down, of softening things, of allowing instead of always having to go full force, and manifesting, like magnetizing, bringing things forth to me versus having to go run and grab them. Okay. That was a sexy definition, wasn't it? All right. I said this before. Number one, you may feel bored, even complacent, even feeling like you're not doing enough when you embrace a life of peace. But keep going. I talked to you all a couple of podcasts ago about the mellow of the middle. So when you first start something, sometimes you swing all the way to one side of it, and then you swing all the way to the other side of it, like if it's on a spectrum, right? But there's a mellow of the middle. Like, I'm recognizing peace and I'm recognizing this is difficult too. I'm recognizing peace and I'm recognizing, wow, I don't want to really do this right now. I need to look at this. I'm recognizing the peace, and there's still other things that are happening too. But keep going. Keep going. If you keep going, your brain in the early stages is so used to your gas on the foot pedal, your gas on the foot pedal, your foot on the gas pedal, that it has to recognize the change, that you are slowing down, that things are different. So it could be a calm up situation. I had a buddy, Krista, who had a bad that said calm up. A calm up, like I'm doing a little more for the calm to come up, or a calm down situation. I'm doing a little less for the calm to calm down. Okay. So it can be a changing situation. Number two, I want you to identify what is standing in the way of your peace, or what bothers you the most. My mom always is like, put a pencil to paper. Okay, I put my fingertips to the keyboard. That's what my journaling is just kind of keeping a light, low level look at like, what's going on? Maybe it's a high level look at what's going on in my life, what's bothering me. And I think for me, especially as a coach, because, I coach myself the most. And I teach my clients to coach themselves. So if you want some help with getting through some of your life transitions, there's no one better than me. Go to kimarrington.com and sign up for my wait list. My team or I will get in contact with you. Okay. So I want you to identify what's bothering you. But then I want you to figure out if what's bothering you is the truth of what's bothering you, or if there's something deeper. Okay. I just did an episode, like I'm giving you all the resources, an episode called, Hey, You, What's Your Kryptonite? Where sometimes we have these core wounds that show up in symptoms. And the symptom isn't really the problem. You got to go deeper to find out what the problem is. And I think weight loss is such a great example of that, because on the surface, you'll think, oh, I've gained weight because I'm overeating too much. But if I teach you weight loss, I teach you, sure, overeating is a component of that, but we go deeper to figure out, why are you overeating? Who do you want to be, instead of a person who identifies as an overeater or who's doing this as a behavior? And how can we stick with it long enough for those new habits to come together to get what we want, the results we want? Okay. I teach something called solving your spicy 3 issues. These are the biggest issues you have. You choose one, you dissect it, you get to the bottom of it. You might hire a helper, a therapist, a life coach. You might go to a group, Codependence Anonymous, CODA, AA, Narcotics Anonymous. You may talk to a clergy. You may talk to a therapist. You may talk to a friend. You might YouTube it. You may do a couple of things, but I recommend when we're solving an issue, when we do our spicy 3 list, the 3 biggest issues, we choose the one that would give us the most relief, the most peace. We work through that. And then as we're getting to the tail end of that, we might introduce the new issue, or we might just finish. And then we work through that. And we're also maintaining those 2 issues. Once they are feeling better, then we go to a 3rd issue. Well, this could be 18 months. This could be 2 years. This could be a year. This could be 6 years. I mean, it's as long as it takes. You're worth your time for as long as it takes. Okay. So another way of saying what's standing in the way of your peace is realize what's giving you peace and keep doing more of that. Like, what currently is giving you peace? I know my ass got to get outside and get back in these daily walks. I walked in the woods yesterday for the first time in weeks. I literally said, what are you not doing that you need to be doing? I have to change some of my timing to get out there for walks because it's hot. Okay. I already said this, get some help if it's too intense. You don't have to go it on your own. And sometimes like a partner and a spouse can, or a friend can go a certain distance with you, but they're not trained in holding space, even if they're good at holding space. And sometimes you need to allow yourself to let others be that space for you. Okay. Get some help. Help so much. More help than there's ever been. During the pandemic, honey, my health insurance didn't have people paying copays to see therapists. Like, how cool is that? Not all of us have health insurance. There's better health. There are ways and means. You have to ask people. People put up on Facebook all the time, what therapist would you recommend? What would you, like, sometimes you're open about things. You tell folks so you can get some resources. Beware of statements like, I just don't feel like myself. Not don't say it. I'm not saying don't say it. But what I am saying, I had to get a drink of water. What I am saying is, maybe a new version of you is trying to be born. And by new, I mean the old version of you that you blocked off. I literally had a conversation with people one time. I was like, do you think a new you is born? Because I'm not really sure a new you is born. I think the you was born and you spend your life trying to remember the you really are and getting back to that so it feels new. But in actuality, it's like who you were or who you wanted to be, but you didn't feel safe enough, or you saw people being persecuted. If they did that, you were like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to do that. And sometimes this is on an unconscious level, which means you don't know it. Maybe a new or remembered you is coming, however you see it. You don't have to throw everything away you were. You don't have to throw away all your relationships. You don't have to throw away a marriage. You don't so sitting on your hands is, and I wrote this down when I was coming up with notes. Sometimes the best doing is to stop yourself from doing. What does that mean? Sometimes the best doing is to stop yourself from doing. Okay. So, if you are someone who is easily made anxious by people's reactions. Now, there's a whole host of y'all who are more avoidantly attached. This is your attachment style, who automatically go to I'm only going to do in the extreme areas that I'm anxious in, and I'm going to pull back when people make me feel anxious. I ain't talking to y'all like this. I'm talking more about people who are in general made anxious by people's behaviors and who go forward. So if you are more of the avoidantly attached, when someone makes you anxious, you pull back, you remove yourself, I can't even think of the word I'm thinking of. You're yelling at me. You close down, you close off, you pull back, right? if you're more avoidant, or more anxiously attached, when someone is, you feel they're mad at you, you run forward. The problem is that most people engage with someone who has a different level or the opposite level from them. So you are anxiously attached, you're dealing with someone who is more avoidantly attached. So you run forward to make things right, and they pull back even more. And then you get more anxious and you run forward even faster, and they pull back even more. Okay. Conflict that's come up. There is something that's made you feel uncomfortable. I do want to build in that when with our partners, when we've done the work on ourselves to be able to, these kind of 3 to 4 things I'm going to give you, and we have done this with the work of a partner, sometimes the amount of time we stay away from each other is actually shortened. Okay. So I don't want you to be so literal where you're like, well, I was listening to Coach Kim and she said to sit on my hands and do less. I mean that when we are in the beginning stages of trying to understand our relationship to other people or difficult relationships, if you are in relationship with an active, someone in active addiction, you're going to definitely need to fall all the way back. Definitely. Okay. So how do I sit on my hands, Coach Kim? What do I do? Why do I keep calling myself Coach Kim in third person? I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I like it. All right. If you're a person who's the one who always does the apologizing, if you're a person who always sets the agenda of what's going to happen, you facilitate, you like your friends, you're the vacation genie who makes everything happen, and people have said to you, oh, let's go more freestyle, but you can't stop. You're gonna have to learn how to be uncomfortable. You're gonna have to learn how to sit in your discomfort. You're gonna have to learn how to feel anxious and know that it's not going to kill you. This is the truth. This is the truth. Vulnerability, feeling uncomfortable, feeling anxious, our brains cannot differentiate between that and death. And what I mean by that is you're not literally dying, but your brain swings into action to try to get you to come to an outcome that makes you feel safe, which could be running to talk to that person or trying to clear it up. But the point is for folks who are always hyper vigilant, always looking around for what's wrong, always trying to emotional monitor. The holistic psychologist just did a whole social media post about emotional monitoring, where you're always looking, are you okay? And reading the temperature of people. If you're one of those people, you're going to have to learn to let some people come to you. I remember my mom saying this to me when I was young. It's like, sometimes you just got to let the argument hang out there, and you don't have to always be the person who comes back and makes it right. Okay. So you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to be anxious, and you're going to need to find a pressure valve release that you can control. That's a mouthful. So a pressure valve release, something you can control, is like something that gets you to release it from your body and to release it from your mind. So when you do that by yourself, that's called self-regulation. That's when the feeling or the physical sensation in your body comes up, and you're like, I'm going to do these couple of steps to be able to move that feeling through, to process it through. Now, journaling to me is a huge one with that, because you can literally say anything on that page and you can talk back to that page about no, I'm not a bad person, but this happened and I made a mistake. And yes, this brings up the shame, and it reminds me of, my mom when she was this, but this is not my mom. That is definitely one of the ways. But the science now is the body release. So in my weight loss course, because, people who gain weight and are on a weight loss journey are generally using food to do things food is not intended to do, which is feel better. Food is not designed to make you feel better. Food is designed to fuel your body so you can be alive. It's a basic need. But we've adapted that and our brains have gone along with it for us to feel better. So anyway, In my weight loss program, Half-Life Weight Loss, I'm going to be teaching, and that 5-step, which also even has a step in if you have to continue repeating it until the the hard emotions are gone. I've built in a way to identify the emotion, to feel the emotion, to process the emotion, which is releasing it from the mind, but also to release it from the body, and to then affirm the emotion, which is, here is the way I want to look at this now. Even if I can't believe it, this is another way I could look at it. That's what you'll learn if you're in my weight loss program. Let's cut to the commercial right here so you can hear for yourself. Hey, I'm Coach Kim, and I'm your last weight loss coach. But I've cracked the code. 65 pounds of weight loss later, and I can teach you how to keep weight off, because I'm going to teach you all about the thing you really want, which is lasting weight loss. All about my weight loss program. It's called Half-Life Weight Loss. Learn how to stop overeating, lose weight, and gain yourself back for successful women over 40. And you better know successful is an acronym that we'll talk about all in my course. But here's the deal. With Half-Life Weight Loss, you're going to get 15 plus hours of instructional videos that you can listen to any time of the day or night. They're yours to listen to as you want. You're going to get a workbook that's going to help you answer all those questions to get you to lasting weight loss. Email support. Okay, I'm going to check in on you via email every now and then. An audio version of the course. So think about it. You're going to already get a video version, right, that you're going to be able to watch, but you're going to get an audio version to take with you on a walk or in the car or when you're doing the dishes. I'm also going to include a downloadable 75 things to do other than overeat, because with Half-Life Weight Loss, I have really 3 goals for you. Learn how to not overeat, which results in lasting weight loss if you continue. Learn all the other things you'd rather do than overeating, and learn how to remember who you truly are. All right, no one does it better than me. So I want to see you here to get it done. You to press go. I want you to do this for yourself. This is the best time to lose weight. You are the best version of you to lose weight, and I'm going to help you every step of the way. It's time to upgrade your solution, and I got you. Half-Life Weight Loss is going to help you gain your whole self back. I got you. All right. Can't wait to see you on the inside. All right, so that means you all want to go to kimarrington.com/weight loss, all one word. You want to go there and you want to learn more about the course, okay? You get on the list and then you'll get more information about the course. Because the truth is, to really feel your feelings, you're going to have to, and to process it through, you're going to have to get at it with multiple ways of releasing it in your mind, potentially, and that body release. And that body release might be dancing it out, shaking it out, going on a walk, meditating, taking a shower. Like there's got to be a body release to self-pleasure, sex. Like there has to be a way that we have dealt with it in our mind and our body, because anxiety doesn't just live in our minds, and any of our emotions don't just live in our minds, they live in our bodies too. And so to process it all the way through, when I say process it all the way through, is like be able to change your emotion. You've got to not just change your thoughts, you've got to also push that physical sensation we call feelings through your body, okay? Yeah. You didn't give yourself enough time or bandwidth or attention to resolve the problem. Some problems take longer to work through than others. So that help is that, and you're frustrated because, oh, this person just did this for me, or this coach just did this for me. But you needed more time, more resources, more things to handle around the situation. And this is super common in the historical patterns example I just gave, but it's also really common when you are hypervigilant and you aren't willing to give the time. You're willing to give the time to others, but you're not willing to give the time to yourself. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look at how you treat others, it's a big indicator of what you could be doing for yourself. Okay. If you are super patient with others and you are super impatient with yourself, then giving yourself, I always say this to y'all, in the problem is the solution, then giving yourself the time. I mean, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 3 years, 10 years, 30 days, 90 days, giving yourself the time to parse out the problem, to try multiple ways to solve it, find a way or two, and then work through it, that takes time. So sometimes, like your help that you started out with, you got to get some other help to do that as well, okay? So I want to give you a couple of kind of tips for you to be able to look at how to rethink help, okay? I mentioned it earlier. I teach my clients to make a supportive community list. I know I have clients who listen like, she ain't never told me to do that. I didn't call it a supportive community list, okay? I'll say, well, who can you do this with, okay? Some of y'all need a little bit more of that listing than others, okay? Depending on what our approach is. I love when my clients are listening, like, she gives this shit new names. She just be like, why don't you just do this? Why don't you do this? All right. Something I do when I know I'm about to step, because sometimes we choose to go into the belly of the beast. Like we choose to initiate change and go towards a problem. So one of the things I do is I pre-ask who can help me if something comes up, where they think they can help me. Can I talk to you about it? Maybe even establishing some rules. And then when it comes up, I ask, hey, we talked about this. Does this still work for you? Because sometimes things change. Flexibility is super important when it comes to asking for help, because where the help, that you think is coming may end up coming from a different direction. Okay. Give grace to yourself always, but also give grace to the others. Sometimes people are doing the best they can. You're doing the best you can. And sometimes to pause life to help can be hard, okay? Try to put in your part too. Like, try to, I don't know why I just had this image of, how you see the people who are being carried on like my language, they're being fanned with a big leaf and they're being fed grapes or whatever. Like, make sure you put some sweat equity into, right? And again, for some of us who have mental health diagnosis, like a mental health diagnosis, this is where your therapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, licensed social worker can help you to parse out some of those things. And even a coach could help that as well, okay? An organization may be better to ask for than a person. So what comes to mind when I think about this is if you're having financial hardship, you may have to reach out to several organizations for help. So there's organizational help, right? Like, yeah, you can reach out to family members for help too, but you may need to have some rent assistance. You may not have health insurance and you may have to go to a clinic or go on I don't know why this came to my mind, but like some of the universities, you have a dental problem. They have times where the dental students can help you with what's come up. Or it may be that if it's a domestic violence situation, that you go to a organization that helps with that. So like there are places, if you type in whatever's going on into your phone or into the computer, and resources can come up. Or you can ask friends for, do you have a resource for this? Like, an organization may be a better fit than a bud who has a life, has a family, has responsibilities. They may be able to support, hey, did you do this? Versus coming up with the complete solution, okay? When you go to a life coach, your life coach, if they are worth their weight in gold, and I know so many are, they're going to give you skills. And the skills they teach you are going to be transferable to different areas of your life. They're going to teach you how to coach yourself, how to talk to yourself in a better way. They're going to teach you how to not catastrophize and how to realize that how you feel right now may not be how you always feel. They're going to give you, like when they solve for what your friend did to you, or your mom did to you, or your dad did to you, or your lover did to you, that those skills can be transferable to the difficult boss at work, or so I just wanted you to know that any helper worth their weight in gold can help you to have skills that you can take into other times of your life where you need help, okay? Say this all the time. The way you feel about it, the way you feel about a problem, the way you feel about the issue that you ask for help can change. And that's that hope that we need sometimes, okay? All right. And the last thing I want to talk about is the willingness to accept help as it comes. Like, y'all know, the guy who was drowning, and a tugboat came by, and a dinghy, is that the name of the little boat, came by, and a yacht came by, and the man drowns. He goes to heaven, and he's like, God, you didn't send any help. And he was like, who do you think sent the tugboat? You may be surprised how help comes in. You may be surprised that you're at the grocery store and you overhear someone saying the resource you need. This has literally happened to me dozens of times. Or you see a license plate or a song on the radio, or a friend just randomly starts talking about this. Or, like, for instance, you get laid off and then a friend says, oh my goodness, such and such is looking for, like, or you're in the dentist chair. You're like, oh, and they're like, oh, actually my cut, like, be open to how help comes in, and when it comes in, a willingness to kind of accept it, like, especially if it doesn't come in the way you think it will, okay? All right. So just know that asking for help definitely triggers that vulnerable side of us. This episode today was listen, y'all, I need this episode. This episode isn't just for you. All my episodes are for me as well. No, it's a reminder to us that there are times we need to ask the other humans for help. There are times where we can't figure it out on our own. And it's funny, I was watching Harlem, the new season of Harlem on Amazon, which I love. And Quinn, one of the characters, is going through something, and she's sitting on a park bench, and there's this montage. It's very dramatic. And she reaches out to all her friends, and she's like, I can't get over this. I need help. And they come to her. And so sometimes you need the infantry to come in to help you have a think session. May not even be something quite tangible. It may just be that they're there for you, that they say they love you, that they give you a hug, that whatever you need, okay? All right, y'all, have a great one. I will see you next week, same time, same place. Look, holler at a friend and tell them about this. Share this episode. Mwah. Are you feeling what you just heard? Good, good. Repeat after me. You don't have to figure it out on your own again anymore. I'm here to help. Head over to kimarrington.com and download my free video series dedicated to getting you feeling your best right now. Look around, there's some good stuff waiting on you. Got questions? Well, we're always talking on the socials, so find me on YouTube, Insta, and the book. Don't be shy, y'all. Go listen to another episode or join me here the same time next week. Finally, don't keep good shit to yourself. Share this with a homie that could use some help too. Remember, we're not lying to ourselves anymore. We're not lying to our doctors. And you damn sure don't lie to your life coach.